The last section in chapter 1 is trend lines. So 1:7 is trend lines. And I actually talked about this a little bit in the notes for section 6 just because it fits in with there, and I was excited. But if you were to just take and have a graph of some sort, so I'm just going to make a graph, and so if we're looking at my fantasy football team or something, or even skip that, let's say if you're looking at the amount of times you score in a basketball game versus the minutes played. So the number of scores, or points maybe I should have said, and then minutes played. We could go through and make up a bunch of data for that if we wanted to, but I'm going to just kind of skip that for now. But if you're looking at the number of times you score or the number of points you get, as you play more minutes, your number of points, your score should go. Anyone? Just holler it up, right? So the data should look something like, this here, that. And it's not necessarily going to be a straight line. Like for me, I'd be this dot down there. I played a lot of minutes maybe, but my score is not good, But in general, if I only play for 30 seconds, I'm not as likely to score as many points as if I play for the whole game. So if you have kind of an upward going line like that, if you just have points, it's hard to say, okay, if somebody plays this many minutes, how many points should they get? And that's really the advantage of having a trend line. That how trend lines work is you look at the data and you try to figure out what's a line that goes about through the middle of that data. This point here is lower than the other points, so that's going to pull the line down a little bit for that spot. But what you want to do is you want to kind of try to estimate like a straight line through the data. So I'm going to aim to be right between kind of these two dots because, there's only two of them. But then as I go up, it looks like I'm a little low as I get to the high end there. So maybe it'd be better if I would have been up a little bit higher, something more like this here. That second one is going to be a kind of a better representation. It's closer to the dots. And just because I don't want you to think that all trend lines have to go through the origin, I want to do an example like this real fast. You could not bother copying it if you want, but a good trend line for it would be something like that. It goes like right through the middle of the data, doesn't have to hit the origin. If we had, and I don't know if I'd put all this on your axis, but if we had, say, 0 and 5 and 10, if that line kind of represents the average of the data, you could say, well, if somebody played 7 minutes, how many points would you expect them to score? Well, then you can say, all right, well, for 7's going to be right about there on my x-axis, agreed? So then you can say, well, someone scored 7 minutes, they hit the line right about there, they should score that many points. So it allows you now to go and actually use your scatter plot to kind of find other things. The picture kind of covers it, but I'm going to say a trend line. So a trend line, and I'll say it goes through the middle of the data points. So it goes through the middle of the data points. To give an approximation. Of the data. Sometimes they refer to that as a line of best fit, and eventually you'll start playing with graphing calculators more in math class, and if you take and you can actually put all these points into a graphing calculator, and then you can draw the points on a graph. It'll show up on your screen, but you can have it run through a program that'll give you the best possible line through the data. Or if the data is something that fits more of a parabola shape, gives you the best possible parabola through that. Where for now, it's more we're just going to kind of be estimating where the line is through those points. And then once we have that, picking like a y or an x value, like I did right here, and then saying, okay, for this x value, take it up to your line, and go across and find out what y value would correspond with it. All right, that's it for today.